Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Booktube Chicks Book Club November meeting. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco, which is the first in a witchy fantasy romance series. I don't know if I'd call it a fantasy romance, but um, as usual, I'm here with the rest of the BookTube chicks who are going to introduce themselves in just a minute. But the way that these live shows work, if you haven't been to one before, is I will do a very brief synopsis of the book, and then we'll go into spoiler-free, um, just first thoughts for the next 10 minutes or so. And then after that, we will go into spoiler discussion. So really quick, I'm just going to read a brief synopsis on the back here for everybody who might not have read this. And then we'll jump into first thoughts. So Amelia and her twin sister Vittoria are, I already can't even remember how to say the word, stray, hey, witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution. One night, Vittoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned restaurant in Sicily. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desecrated beyond belief. Devastated, Amelia sets out to find her sister's killer and to seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. Then Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked, who are princes of hell. She has been warned against in tales since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked by his master with solving a series of women's murders on the island. But when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. So, Kat, do you want to go ahead and start with your initial thoughts?
Sure. This was my second time reading this book. I read it, was it last year? And I wanted to continue on with the series, so I decided it was okay that this would be our book club book. When I first read it, it was super hyped up. I think it's still hyped up, but it was really, really hyped up when I first read it. I gave it a 3.5 to 4 on Goodreads. It's a 4, but I gave it a 3.5 because I felt like it was overhyped. The story didn't really grab me as much as I thought it was going to, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting, the world. Um, with all the different witches and what they can do, and this whole thing that they have with hell and the demons, and there's werewolves and vampires involved, and it's a whole world. And I thought it was really interesting. Reading it this time, I also really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as much as the first time that I read it. So I decided to give it a 4 star again. And I'm actually really excited to read on with the rest of the books, because I think at the time when I first read the first book, I didn't have the other 2 books. I now have the other 2 books, so I'm excited to read on.
Hi, my name is Desiree. You can find me on LibriLabra on all the things like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and Threads, and X, whatever. But I really really enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars, and I loved like the Italian culture that was mixed in. I loved her family's like restaurant going on, um, just like the legend and lore, and the Dark Princes, and like I don't know, I just thought all of it was like really interesting. Um I went and I bought the second book yesterday, so I'm probably going to start that like ASAP.
And my name is Chloe. You guys are on my channel. I gave this a 2, but I feel like the hardest part about like talking about this book for me is I can't really pinpoint a solid reason why I just didn't vibe with this book. I just feel like I didn't have a good time reading it, which it may have been me because I was kind of in between books and really wanting to read other things. But at the same time, I just had no interest in it, which bums me out because I was excited to read it, especially after hearing how good the rest of the series is. That I was very excited to pick it up and see if I would like it enough to want to continue on with the rest of the series. And unfortunately, I did not. I also think that my friend has tried to read this book twice, and I actually have her copy because she just got so frustrated with it and she was never able to finish it that I ended up with the copy. But I think I was going in expecting a fantasy romance, and it does have some of those elements, but I feel like we ended up with just mostly a murder mystery, which, yes, we're trying to figure that out, but I feel like it's also dubbed as a fantasy romance, and it was not heavy in those elements, maybe in the later books, but I don't think in this one personally. But overall, I didn't really have a good time reading it, and I'm giving it a 2. I don't know if I would ever pick it up again in the future and try again. I have read her debut book, Stalking Jack the Ripper, but it has been many, many years. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be the minority opinion on this one tonight, but if we want to
Did
go
you
ahead and go
read her
into
whole first
spoilers, we can start.
series, or did you just read the first book?
I only read Stalking Jack the Ripper. I don't remember why I never continued on with the series, but I feel like I was reading it for like a reading challenge or something. It's been years. So where do you guys want to start tonight?
I have like angry feelings about the end of the book, and I'm trying to wait on them. I'm trying to wait before I talk about the end of the book. I sort of knew what this was about, but like in my head, and I don't know what like the other books are about, so I don't think like her sister is still alive. I'm pretty sure her sister is dead, right? Like but I thought she had to go into the underworld to go find her sister. And so when things happened to her sister, I was like, what? Like I was just like really confused. I was expecting something different, and that didn't affect my feelings of the story, but it just like kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, well, that's not what I thought was gonna happen. And I feel like throughout the whole book, I was asking myself, like, why Wrath? Why was he the brother that she summoned and that she kind of connected with? Because they're all based on the 7 deadly sins, and like in my mind, he's like the worst one, right? Like,
I mean, I don't know.
did you?
I don't know much about the history and mythology behind the 7 deadly sins, so I don't know. I wasn't really thinking too much about that. What was your other question you said?
No, I think that was like just like a question I had throughout the whole book. I was even trying to talk to John about it. He was like, I don't know, ask the author. I was like, that's not what I mean. Like, I just mean like, help me see something that I'm not seeing. Like, what am I missing? Like, if he's supposed to be like the most evil one. I mean, there's obviously 2 other books, right? So like, we don't know exactly what happens, but
Yeah. 2 other books, and we've only seen 3 of the princes, right? Wrath, Envy, and
4.
No, we saw 4. Pride and Greed, right?
Yeah.
I have a question mostly for Kat because she's who I go to with, annoying characters. And I feel like you notice them the most or point them out the most. So my friend's opinion when she was trying to read the book, and also what I saw on a majority of the reviews that I was reading, is that this main character is really stupid. And I just want to know if you also feel the same way. I'm neither here nor there on it, but that was pointed out so much that I feel like we need to talk about it.
I mean, yes, she is dumb because her grandmother, her Nuna, tried so hard to protect her and her sisters, and they get themselves involved with the 7 deadly princes, whatever. And so yes, they are extremely dumb, but they didn't annoy me as much as other characters in other books. So she didn't ruin the book for me, in fact. So, but yeah, she was very dumb.
I agree that she didn't ruin the book for me, but that was literally something I said to John today. I was like, listen, I love strong female characters, but when they don't know enough to be afraid, when they're not like smart enough to know that they should be afraid in certain situations, like that annoys me.
Okay, here's my thing. The first time I was frustrated with the main character, it was when she found her sister's diary. There were these summoning spells. She doesn't know what the summoning spells say. In fact, when she summons Raph, he asks her, "Can you read it for me so I know what it says?" And then he explains to her what it says. And I'm like, are you as dumb as I didn't know that you were? Because, like, how do you do a summoning spell? How do you do any spells without knowing what it says? So yeah, she's just that. I think that was the only time where I questioned her mental capacity, but otherwise, she didn't ruin the book for me.
I mean, obviously, like Wrath had like a soft spot, and he was trying to come off as a very honest demon, but they're the princes of fucking hell. Like, she should have been more afraid. Like the fact that she was like always disobeying him, not listening to him, like just I don't know, like
Here's the thing. They are like, I don't know how old they are, but they are very old creatures. So they know all the tricks and know how to manipulate someone. And the fact that she tried to come across as, very intelligent and, I'm going to do this thing because I know better, whatever. It was also frustrating to watch. I'm like, listen, you're dealing with people who have been around for a lot longer than you are. They are quite literally the princess of hell. They know how to trick people, and the fact that you're falling for it. I mean, it's a book. It's not only that, it's a YA book, so obviously it's all going to work out for her. But it was just like, she may be a witch. I mean, she may be like this. She may come from the line of witches that stop the princes, that keep the princes in hell, whatever it was. So that their prophecy was. But it was like, I feel like I wish. There's one thing about being brave, and there's a strong line between being brave and being stupid, and she almost has like a bit of too much pride where she believes she's doing smart things, but she's really not.
You know what? I think a better word to describe her is just antagonistic. Like that was the dumb part to me. The fact that she was so antagonistic to these demons who could have sliced her from end to end at any point, like for any reason. And
she's only alive because Raph is he quite literally has to protect her. Like, he cannot help himself. He's quite literally being forced out. Otherwise, she would have died within the first couple of chapters.
It's like, listen, they're trying to trick you and you are being stupid and embarrassing. Like, stop it. Stop embarrassing yourself.
What I thought was like, and I'm sure the other books, the later books will go into it more, but like the fact that Nona's like, oh, we were told about a prophecy. Really? You're trying to fight a prophecy? like if we know anything about prophecies is that they always come true. How are you fighting the prophecy, and why are you fighting the prophecy? Like, I don't know. I thought that was just like, and John heard bits and pieces of the book, and he was like, why would they give two sisters two pieces of something that should never be joined? Like, oh yeah, let's just give this to some kids so they could like hold the key to hell. Like, and I know that on like their 18th birthday or whatever, when they finally received the cornicellos, they had touched like briefly. I don't think it ever said, I don't think the book ever said that was like the reason for why everything was happening, but was it something? Like, because they both glowed and something. I don't know.
You're muted.
Thank you. I think so. I don't think the book ever explains what that goes into. But I think that was kind of like the starting point of the snowball effect. So
I mean, it was probably just all part of the prophecy anyway. But
yeah.
Um, you've read it twice now, so maybe you have a better understanding because I kind of feel like I need to go back and reread it, but there was just so many elements and I didn't understand how they all lined up. So apparently a witch had fun times with a demon at some point, and so somewhere in their line is like a demon witch, right? And are they demon witches? Was that what they were saying? Is that why?
I don't remember that part. Sorry. Is that what happened?
That's
Man.
I was just trying to figure out where in the lineage that happened. Like, was it the Prima Striga that did that, and then that's why she kind of like.
Well, the Prima was the one that locked them in hell. Like she was the one that cursed them to hell. So now they gotta break the curse using the amulets and these twins, whatever, in order to break the curse that their original Prima set, so that they can be released into the world.
But was the Prima the mother of the daughter that fell in love with the demon? Do you really? You don't remember any of this?
I don't remember.
This is a lot of family history, Desiree.
I know it is. I miss a lot of stuff.
Oh my god!
What chapter was it on?
I don't know what chapter.
I'll have to relook it up.
I remember the grandma talking about like their family history and explaining the horns of Hades towards the end of the book. Like within the last like
but it wasn't the grandma that explained that. It was Wrath that had explained it to her. I'm pretty sure. Either Wrath or Greed. Somebody told her. I'm pretty sure it was Wrath, because Wrath was the one that was like giving her the most information, I think. And I'm just like, I'm not understanding. Like, okay, so demons were coming to Earth because they were locked away in hell, and these two twins are given the key to hell. But she just joined them and opened the gates of hell, did she not? Like, is that not what she did by like putting together the Horn of Hades? Like, I just don't. It seems counterintuitive.
I mean,
what they were supposed to do, what the prophecy says. I know. I just want it to make sense.
Make it make sense. See, that's the other thing that I feel like I had a problem with this book is like it doesn't make no sense.
And then, like, okay, I'm still gonna try not to jump to the end because, like, I'm just confused and angry about the end. Like, it's making me want to throw the book, but. And I feel like I would just classify this as a fantasy that just happens to have some romance in it. Like, it's definitely not romantasy.
The romance was crap,
and anyway. I wasn't. I don't know. I guess I wasn't expecting a ton of romance, so I wasn't disappointed by.
I think
by it.
I think that I've heard that there's more romance in the later two books. I don't know which one it picks up in, but I feel like that's where it probably picks up more.
I'm going to find this out for you. I'm going to flip through the book. And then I'll probably, obviously, this is not going to happen during this live, live, but yeah. Because I remember it was Raph who explained the curse to Amelia. And there was something about the first witch creating the curse. And then all of a sudden, the gates of hell are breaking. I don't remember. But I don't remember why the gates of hell are breaking. It's causing, I don't know.
Well, and then, like, they said
Shouldn't
that
the curse...
Pride's bride was killed, right? Like,
right.
So who killed her, and for what reason? I just feel like I have a lot of questions.
Isn't there like some kind of like explanation? Somebody's has got to have an
There
explanation.
has
on
to be
Google.
like a Kingdom of the Wicked wiki somewhere.
Well, I have the recaption thing, the article up, so I'm gonna see if it says anything.
But even with all those questions, whether they're questions that'll be answered in the second book or the third book or whatever, I feel like it has decent reread value. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a book that there's so much stuff happening in that I would want to go back to learn more stuff along the way.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys don't necessarily read the way I do, but like, especially if I'm reading a book where there's words that are in a different language, I always look those up to see what they mean. I look up, like, I feel like there was a lot of research done here. And even though it's a fantasy, there was just a lot of Italian culture that was woven in. And I thought that was really cool. And so I pretty much looked up like all the Italian words to find out what they all meant. Like, you can kind of figure it out via context, but I like to know what the literal translations are, just because I feel like that helps make more sense to me. And so I was kind of fascinated by the inclusion of fennel and like what fennel means and how fennel's used for healings and it can be used for spells. And like, I don't know, I was going down a rabbit hole kind of looking that stuff up, but there were other like Italian symbols in there. There was something about like some kind of medallion that I think her grandmother used when she did the spell to like kick envy out. And so from what it looked like, that was a real thing. It was a real medallion that you can find in different locations in Italy that have different symbols on it. And I just thought all of that was like really fascinating. So no real question there, just a comment on like, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in this book.
Yeah.
So one thing that I forgot about, but I just noticed it as I was reading the recap towards the end, is there's that one random family that's actually werewolves.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that, and I'm just like, where is this coming from?
And then the vampire who bit her or something. I'm like, it's a whole world. It's a huge world that she
Well, I feel like
created.
you can't have demons without having like vampires and werewolves and shit.
Something else I noticed in a review that I was reading was they pointed out like the I guess for lack of a better term, let's call it the world building, and the timeline. Do we know like what kind of time period this is supposed to be? I feel like it wasn't really touched upon. Is it modern? Is it not modern?
I mean, it doesn't
didn't feel
say,
modern.
but like,
It doesn't feel. I don't think it's modern.
it didn't feel modern to me at all. Like, especially with like all the cloaks and the way their attire was explained and like the religion. I don't know. It felt more old world. I'm trying to think if like I can compare it to anything, but it just felt older. It didn't feel modern. There was no mention of technology or cars even. Did they? I don't think they mentioned cars, right?
I don't think so. I wish there was a little more clarification on like the time period, I guess, that we were in.
I could see why she wouldn't include it though, like, because if she was going to describe the time, I think it would have had to have a lot more detail, and the world building felt like it had a lot of detail as is. So to include even more, like, I don't know, I think people would get even further lost in the story if there was more time period explanations. But Antonio, let's talk about Antonio. Because I didn't expect that at all. I don't know why I didn't, but I like absolutely did not expect for him to be the bad guy. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, here's
especially when there was all the back and forth about, like, was it greed, was it envy, or it was this person, blah blah, and then it turned out to be.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was a nice little not cliffhanger, a nice little twist, because you're so focused on the princess of hell, and you're
right being the
expecting
evil one.
them
Mhm.
to be one of the ones who killed her sister, and she this whole time is blaming one of them, and it turns out it wasn't even one of them. So I actually I remember reading that for the first time, and I was like, oh, I did not expect that. So I really liked that little twist.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it either. I don't know if I expected him to have a huge role, but I know that he was just like her childhood crush, and I don't know. I figured it was somebody for Wrath to be jealous of. The fact that he's like, did you sleep in a bed with this man? I thought that was funny. But now, speaking of him, who was he working with? Who was telling him to kill the girls?
Hold on. Was it not envy? I thought it was envy.
I thought it was one of the princes. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was envy.
Envy is just messing up shit all over the place. Like, they have a lot of beef with each other, it feels like.
Or if in the next two books, so we saw 4 princes in this one, are we gonna see the other 3 in the rest of the series?
I think so, because she becomes the bride at the end of the isn't it that at the end of the book she becomes a bride, and then she goes to hell, whatever. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
assuming
she aligned herself with one. Yes, and
so.
she
I'm
aligned.
assuming she's gonna meet the rest of the princes. My question is she gonna meet the actual devil himself?
Who is the devil himself?
I don't know.
Because it sounded like one of the princes were.
It's like you guys need to read the rest of the series and tell me.
Because I thought, I mean, like, I could have misread it, but I thought, like, that's what Wrath was saying. Because isn't, like, Pride, like, top dog?
I love that there's like a hierarchy between the 7 princes of hell. I'm like, to me, they're all equally bad.
Or was he the only one that had a bride?
I think so. It doesn't mention that the others, at least I don't think they do.
Well, isn't Pride the one who needed to have have a bride to something
be released?
One of them needed another soul. One of them needed a bride for something.
See, this makes me want to reread it, and I just finished it.
Reread it and take notes this time.
Like, or at least read the wiki or something.
Is there a wiki for this that answers all our questions?
Let's see. Kingdom. And I wish I had all these questions while I was reading.
There is a wiki.
I would have looked it up. I like the art.
I mean, they don't. It looks like there's a more in-depth recap. I might read that and see.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a super summary, and I'm just on the Google page, and it says the wicked were magically bound to remain in hell by La Prima, who cursed Pride long ago after he and La Prima's daughter fell in
There
love.
you go.
So there you go. That's your answer.
History.
So it was La Prima who cursed because her daughter fell in love with Pride.
Okay, that's
So it
what
was
I
all
thought.
Pride. This is all Pride's fault.
Okay, but then somebody killed her.
Killed who? The
His wife,
daughter?
the daughter. Yeah. I know that like La Prima took all her daughter's magic away because she was so mad. Um, it said that she took her daughter's magic away, but I don't know what happened to her after that. I don't think it was the witch that killed her, but somebody killed her. Probably somebody that wanted to like start a war, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay. You said that Pride is the big dog. He is.
Okay.
It says, okay, hold on. The wicked each personify one of the seven deadly sins: wrath, envy, greed, pride, lust, gluttony, and sloth, a rule part of hell. Pride is the king among his brothers, the devil himself.
Okay.
The wicked were magically bound to remain in hell by La Prima, who cursed Pride long ago after he and La Prima's daughter fell in love. During Amelia and Victoria's time, Pride seeks a witch bride who will help him break the curse and let loose the demons kept in heaven. I'm assuming kept in hell. Amelia and Victoria must use the horns of Hades, the devil's horns that were fashioned into two amulets by La Prima, and are the keys to the gates of hell to stop this from happening before the human and witch worlds are ruined. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
And this says that the setting is in Sicily, Italy, in the late 19th century. So,
Because I thought that I heard Wrath say that Pride was the devil, the ruling prince and the devil.
that's so weird. I always thought that there was like the brothers and then the king. But okay. This I have to pay to see the rest, but what I can see, it doesn't say who killed his bride.
Right. I am just like all messed up because in my mind it was like, okay, she's getting close to Wrath. He's being really honest. Maybe he's different for some reason. He's always talking about like the importance of choice. And bro, and then she marries someone else? What the fuck?
I mean, she hasn't married them yet. There's still a chance.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but like she agreed. She agreed to be his bride.
Agreement is the first step. I mean, you have to see what happens in the next book.
I'm gonna have to read it now because otherwise I'm gonna forget everything.
Kat, I'll start it tonight. Let's go.
Or I'm gonna have to read it. If you will, I will.
I will. I bought it. I bought that. Yo, and you know what's wild? I don't know if it was because this is how long ago it came out, but the book was only $11. My paperback copy was only $11. And I was like, what has inflation done? Because all the paperbacks that I've been buying lately have been like $16, $17, $18, $19. So seeing that at $11, I was like, what? Like, let's go back to those.
What paperbacks are you buying though? Because like the romance books that only come out in paperback are always like $16, $17. But like the YA ones tend to be like
it felt like they just went up in price recently. I mean, maybe
are you talking about the romance ones?
Yeah, like just paperbacks in general. And I know there's always been a difference between adult and young adult, so that's probably part of it, but
Yeah, because like whenever I did the Penguin rewards, the romance paperbacks or like the adult paperbacks that I always want are either 16, 17, or 18. And then the YA ones are always like 9, 10, 11.
That's crazy. I mean,
But it's been like that since before English too.
it's possible my perception is skewed just because I used to buy a lot more from Amazon and now I've been buying a lot more from Barnes and Noble, so the price difference there. I've also been buying a lot of indie book and store books. Oh no, we lost Kat.
We lost her. What happened? We need Kat to come back. She needs to carry the conversation with you because I can't. Oh, there she is. Hold on. And she's back.
But yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I guess maybe I don't know enough about him, but I'm Team Wrath, and I'm kind of just upset at what has happened here. Because he was the only one that was helping her out, the only one that was protecting.
Why did she agree to become the next bride? Is it because she's mad at Wrath?
No, because her grandmother told her that the prophecy was as something like as above, so below.
Right.
That like the twins, one was supposed to help on Earth and the other one was supposed to help in Hell. And she's assuming that since her sister died, and kind of was a catalyst for things there, that her role would be to do something in Hell. I mean, they're all threatening her. They're all like, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill your friends and family. I really thought she was going to be like, here are my 2 conditions. Number 1, I don't even remember what the first condition was, but number 2, Wrath needs to come back to life, because she was assuming he was dead the whole friggin' time. And the fact that she was like, I get to keep Antonio and like get revenge on him whenever I want was like the dumbest thing ever. And she even said somewhere in the beginning of the book, she was like, when she found out that she accidentally betrothed herself to Wrath, she was like, no, I'm only ever going to marry for love. And like, here she is. I mean, unless you want to look at it like the love for her friends and family has made her protect them and like marry pride, I guess.
I don't know.
But like, and we haven't really seen much of Pride, so we don't know if he's as bad as envy or greed or whatever. But Wrath felt really nice.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're like, I thought he was the worst one, but turns out he's the best.
I'm just wondering how this is all gonna end. I mean,
yeah,
do you really have a happy ending with a Prince of Hell kind of thing, unless you become a Princess of Hell?
I mean, that's the other thing, right? Like, her grandmother's been telling her from day one not to do specific spells, and she's been like, F that. And she's been doing all sorts of dark spells, not giving a crap about like the little pieces of humanity that she's giving up along the way to like do them. So I don't know what that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Listen. People need to think before they make this. Like, okay, fine. She has she's like, I need to do this in order for something to happen. What's my plan? She has no plan. She just decided to go for it. And I'm like, what entail? Because he needs to marry a witch bride in order to break the curse. How does that happen? Like, it's not as soon as he slips a ring on her finger. Oh, hey, there you go. The magic is done. The curse is broken. Does she need to die? Does she need to they need to consummate and she have a baby? We don't know the details of this curse, and I feel like she's getting herself into something that that she's not prepared for, and obviously it's gonna turn out well for her because it's a YA book. But still, I listen. Sometimes we all gotta be a Chloe. We have to plan. Okay, there has to be a plan in place, and she's not planning.
I'm just saying, if the Prince of Hell is telling you that you shouldn't do certain spells because it's not right to take people's choice, like, what is wrong with you?
Is this a YA series though? Because I feel like I heard like it's new adult, or maybe it pulls like the
it?
the ACOTAR. Well, it might
It's
pull an
possible.
ACOTAR.
I
The
think.
first one's YA,
I
and the
mean,
rest are adult.
it was advertised. It was marketed as YA. So if the later books became NA, kind of like Throne of Glass and then ACOTAR did, then it's possible. But it was marketed as a YA book.
Yeah, and it's a James Patterson Presents. I thought those were all like
James Patterson is presenting an adult book.
And the sex scenes weren't like, they weren't crazy.
Yeah.
They're pretty soft.
You mean? I don't know what was funny, but okay.
I don't know.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm
Alright,
gonna read that full recap that's online. I'm gonna read it and see if I can jog my memory on the background of the curse, and then I'll start the next book.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. You said you read this with your ears, Chloe?
Yes.
Mostly?
Yeah.
You don't think that contributed at all? Because this seems like a story that you would like to me.
I think so. The reason why, okay, how do I explain this? I like listening to books like this that have other languages in them because the pronunciation
You know how to write,
is
yeah.
there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like with Jesse Q. Sutanto books, like Dilate for Aunties, or like the Arsenic and Adobo books. I love listening to them because then I can at least get pronunciation. I think besides, the fact that I feel like it was an overhyped book, is I think I was in between books and like really excited for another book, but I was like, okay, I have to read this one first. Like, be responsible and plan to read this one first.
Yeah, I think the fact that you were so excited about Iron Flame and you wanted to read that book, I think that did contribute a little bit to your not enjoyment of this book. But I also feel like this book hyped up the fact that it was like a fantasy romance kind of thing, and I know I went into this book expecting to be more romance than there was, and I don't know if that might have also dampened your.
I feel like I came out with a murder mystery because I was really excited for this book because of all the great things I've heard, but I think the great things are mostly about like the later books in this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we'd like to talk about with this book?
I don't think so. I'm just upset my paperbacks don't match. The spines don't match.
That's so
What do you mean they
Well,
don't match?
it's so weird. Like,
did you buy like how
okay,
long
so
ago
this
did you buy?
Pat gave me this for my birthday.
Okay.
And so up here it says Jimmy Presents,
Mm-hmm.
right? And on the other book, it actually has the skull with like the blue flowers and the crown up here.
So you're mad at Jimmy?
Yeah. Like I can't imagine that the first book just doesn't match. I must have like the second copy of a later publication where they put all the skulls on top. So I don't know. I might.
Damn it, Jimmy!
Go check it out and see if I can find another copy that matches.
Because I mean, this one also has the of that on
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah. What is it? Does it say yours is like
Yeah. Let's see.
because I think mine says like first edition, first trade paperback edition, September 2021.
Mine says that too, but down below, like towards the bottom, it also says printing for 2021.
Oh, this says
What's your-
printing 1 2021, but it still
Oh.
has. Interesting.
I like
I'm
that.
gonna have to see.
So, if James Patterson presents on the first book, does he present on the rest of the series?
The other one, I'm pretty sure the. Hold on.
Right?
I'm gonna
Because
get my book.
I like that in the beginning of this, because it's a James Patterson imprint, it's like Jimmy Patterson books for young readers. James Patterson presents, and then it's like all of his books.
I've never read a single James Patterson book. I have no idea.
Okay, so here's the
Confusing.
spine.
Yeah.
So you can see it. You can
But
see
does it say anything about
Well,
James Patterson
yes.
presents on the second book?
Yes, it says James Patterson. So, I don't think that imprint exists anymore. I think he shut it down.
Oh, really? Why?
Did he?
I was pretty sure he did because there was an uproar about it. I think it was
Why?
also during the time. Well, I don't want to get into it. It was just he was just spewing some stuff, and people were like, "What?"
Okay, well, now I'm confused because I wonder if he's still involved in some way, because on Goodreads for this book, it says Jimmy Patterson Books as the imprint. For the second book, it says Hodder and Stroughton. But
That's
I wonder
what-
if that's
That's
what
the
you're-
UK publisher.
Yeah.
That's the UK publisher.
That's the UK. Okay, so let me switch to another one. Okay, yep. For the other hardcover, it says Jimmy Patterson Books. But then for the third one, it says Little Brown Books for Young Readers.
Hmm.
So I wonder if does anybody have the third book?
I don't.
I wonder
have-
if if he's not involved.
I do, but mine all they're the mine is the
Owl,
Fairlight
right?
editions, and they have so all the spines matches.
And again, I'm still wondering, because of some of the stuff I've heard about the later books, is this really a series for young readers? I think you guys will have to tell me, but I'm pretty sure it's going to pull an ACOTAR.
I love the little taglines on this. So the first one says, "A quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself." And then the second one says, "Revenge is a dish best served in hell." I love the covers. I think they're so pretty.
I think the covers are really pretty,
Yeah.
especially the second and third book.
When I was in Barnes and Noble, like I become so just like anal about the ones that I'm going to grab, because sometimes there'll be like a little ding here and a little ding there and a little fold here, and so like I went through like every single copy that they had on the table to see which one was the best copy. I don't know what they'd be doing to their books, but sometimes they look like they're just throwing them around. But I don't know. I prefer reading in paperback, but their Barnes & Noble edition hardcovers are always yelling at me whenever I see them. And you have the really nice fairy loots.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to go into final thoughts?
Yeah, that's fine. Should I go?
Desiree, you want? Yeah, you can start.
Final thoughts. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked it. I loved the Italian culture mixed in. I loved like the family. I loved the lore and the prophecy, and just the mixture of fantastical elements. We have like the 7 deadly sins and the princes in hell, and then, you know, the witches and vampires and werewolves and stuff. And I think it's a type of book that you will probably want to go back and reread just to get more information out of it, because there's a lot of different threads in there. And I feel like a lot of research went into it, which I think is super cool. And I'm very excited to pick up the second book, which I will probably be doing tonight. So,
Yeah, I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, even though it's my second time reading it, there were some things I forgot. But I do have the rest of the series, so I am planning on continuing to read. I do agree that there was a lot of research that went into this, and I think that Kerri and Maniscalco did a really good job setting up the world and kind of building this mystery around it, and having us question the mental capacity of the main character. But it was a fun read, and I really did enjoy it.
Overall, I wish I'd had a better time with this book, especially because I was excited for it. But ultimately, I think it is just overhyped. I did give it 2 stars. I mean, I've only read 2 things by this author, so I don't, and they're both different series, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I would completely write this author out of something I'm interested in reading. But I mean, it all depends on what she releases in the future. I did hear, what did I can't remember if it was this author or another author, but I thought I heard that she was doing an adult series that's like a spin-off of one of her other series. Whether it's this one or not, I'm not 100%
is
sure.
that the marionette thing? Like,
Maybe Angel
she
was
has
telling me about it, so I'm not
yeah, she has
100%
a new
sure.
book out right now. I'm trying to see what the title is.
I'll have to look into it then. But I'm not completely writing this author off, but currently, like with this one, I'm just kind of on it, and I was just overhyped, in my opinion. But I hope that you guys like the rest of the books, and maybe the rest of the books are better than this one. But yes, that is everything we have. Well, let's talk about next month. I don't have a copy. Does anybody have a copy of next month's book by chance? I'll pull up the cover real quick. I was not prepared. It's at work.
I think I have it buried behind another layer of books.
I ordered it from the library, so it's on my desk. Let's see. So next month, we're going to be reading One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is a young adult mystery book, mystery thriller. I believe it did recently become a TV show. So I hope I enjoy it, especially with I'm hit or miss with mystery, but I did enjoy the last one that we read a couple of months ago. But our live show for this one is going to be a little bit earlier in the month, just due to the holidays. So we are going to be talking about this book on my channel on December 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern on this channel. So we can finish that up before the holidays. And we also have Pages and Pals happening next month on Friday, December 8th at 8 p.m. And that's going to be over on Kat's channel, which is linked in the description below. But I think that is everything that we have coming up as we go into our last book club of the year. So thank you all for joining us or for watching the playback. And we will see you all next month. Bye.